So walk me through a little bit of what you think it's like out there for many people who date or pursue relationships after a divorce. What goes through someone's mind?
Man, that is such a loaded question. Let me just start with that, because there's so many different things. You have the after effects, or maybe currently still going through the effects of the relationship that's ending. So you're kind of getting used to having your own space back, recreating or re-getting in touch with your own identity.
Right. Fair enough.
Then you also have like, oh my God, now I'm single. I got to go back out there, and am I going to find someone? What did I do wrong in this relationship? No, I didn't do it. It's all his fault. Wait, is it all my fault? And it's just like this jambalaya of emotions.
Jambalaya. Now I'm starving.
But honestly, it's just really like, if I could describe it, it's like a really great dish that just has so many ingredients and so rich, because at that moment you're really just, it's a whirlwind, right? And you don't even know, you can't keep your head on straight, and you don't even know really if the floor underneath you is really solid. That's kind of how it feels when you're like going through the divorce and thinking about what's next.
You know what's crazy? That's the same feeling people have when they're in love. I can't feel the floor underneath me. I'm floating. Like, so how does that mirror what you went through? So walk me through like what your experience was like, and how you got, like how you navigated around it, so we can get a feel for like your personal feelings about it.
Yeah. So what comes up to mind is, I'll tell you the day that my ex-husband and I walked into the mediation office. So I was very grateful that we were able to at least not involve lawyers.
Wait, before you get to that.
Yeah.
I want you to walk me through like when you got married, what drew you to want to be married, and how you transitioned from marriage to divorce, right? Because I think that's the path that people need to understand, because again, no sane person, in my opinion, signs up for marriage.
Nobody gets married to get divorced.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
But I need to understand, me personally, what is the path to getting in a mindset where you want to get divorced when you filled your aspirations to be married prior to that. So walk me through it.
Well, if to be honest, I think there's something else that I have shared, and nobody's really asked me that part of the story. So I'm going to share. This will be probably maybe the second time in my life that I share.
Ooh.
And it is, so you're getting the deets. You're getting the goods, Jeff.
I feel special.
Me and my ex-husband, we'll just call him Jay. Me and Jay.
Damn, I feel like you're talking about me.
Well, his name does start with the J.
Okay, fair enough.
So myself and Jay, we met during my time in service. So we met in the Marine Corps. And at the time that I met him, I had recently ended a different relationship, and he was interested in pursuing me.
Sure.
And I was not interested in being involved in a relationship.
Because you're a hot commodity out here in these streets.
Oh, God,
that's all I'm saying.
I mean, but so it was kind of like, he was very persistent. He was a really great guy. I was not in a space to have a relationship, and he was all about wanting to have a relationship. That is really important, because it plays fast forward into he was very persistent, and I got to a place where I had some bad experiences, and I was like, you know what? He's a really great guy to me. At the time, I was taking care of my youngest brother. I had custody of him.
Oh, wow.
And he also was supporting and being part of my brother's life, even though we were just dating.
Right.
So he really came in and he really showed up. And at this point in my life, my career's going really well. It's the natural next step, right? To go into a relationship, to get married. I'm Latina. There are expectations of me. Or, like, hey, get married, have kids, you got the career, like, okay, keep moving it along.
Yeah.
And so he proposed to me on New Year's Eve with my parents. And I felt very pressured.
Oh yeah, you're not saying no to that. You trying to ruin lives out here.
Yeah.
Like, what we talking about?
Yeah, it was so he was an amazing person, a really great friend. And if I was to say something post this divorce, the one thing, and my current husband knows this, the one thing is that I miss that friendship that I had with him, because we were really good friends. And I think that we should have just stayed friends. But that being said, everything that he did for me felt kind of like it was a motive to get me to that place. And I willingly, because I can't blame him, I willingly said yes.
How old were you?
I was 24.
Okay.
I was 24, so like my mom, I come from a divorced family as well. My mom had me when she was 18. You know what I mean? So there was like all these different things that were playing that it was kind of like, okay, at least I'm not 18. I have a career. I'm going to school. I have my place. I guess it's the natural next thing to get married. And so he proposed to me on a New Year's, which with my family there, I kind of felt pressured, and I was like, okay, yes. Like, I guess we're going to do this. You know what? You've been great. You've been supportive. Let's do this.
Right.
We ended up just doing the wedding. And even on the wedding, oh my God. So Hurricane Rita came through before we were going to get married and destroyed our wedding venue.
Yo, that's a sign. Like, okay, just get out of Dodge.
Shit, it's a sign.
Get out of Dodge. All right. I'm not into like premonitions, but like that's how scary movies start. Okay. Like,
yes. I mean, there was all these things, but you know what? I was like, I had just got back from a deployment because I was in Iraq. I came back and I was like, look, it's just the world is crazy right now. These things happen. And I kind of took the attitude that I take in different scenarios when I was in the service. And that is, shit happens, you just regroup and replan. And that was kind of my mode. Like, okay, we're just going to find a new venue. We'll do this. And we did it. We got married. I was always afraid because I was always really honest with him that I wasn't in a space where I wanted to, if I wanted to have a family. And that was one of my conditions that I said to him. I was like, I don't want any pressure about wanting to have a family because it's not something that I grew up wanting.
Okay.
But for you, it's really important. And I want to make sure you're okay with us getting married and knowing that there is a 70% chance that I'm not going to want to have kids.
Wow.
And he said, I'm okay. So I was really honest and transparent about it. It's not like I didn't share that with him. And I've always shared that with him when we were married, when we were dating.
Okay.
Long story short, we go through the wedding and it's a honeymoon period, right? It's great. It's new. It's like, oh my God, like he's just there for me. He's amazing. He's supporting. We had a great honeymoon. And then real life starts to happen. Real life meaning we're both Marines. Yeah. We both have full-time jobs. We both have very demanding hours of our schedule. And so life begins to take over. I start traveling a lot for my job. He has to take care of some things for his work. And then there's the pressure of like, when are you guys going to have kids? When are you guys going to have kids? And I think what I know now that happened with that relationship was I always valued his friendship, but we were not aligned in our core values, like the things that were really important to us. Yeah. We had conversations around those things, but we didn't really, we kind of left it like, oh, okay, I think we'll figure it out as we go. Yeah. And I guess and I would say now, like, that's what I learned going back into the dating world. And then finally meeting my current husband is having all those conversations around those things that I know were the things that destroyed my first relationship or my first marriage. Wow. So that sparked the conversation divorce. And now you're in the divorce, right? Because clearly you guys aren't aligned, right? So walk me through that process and what are some of the things that stand out in that process that a lot of people don't really think about or take into consideration? Yeah. If for anyone who's listening, if like you spent any time apart with someone that you're involved with, dating, or if you're married, and all of a sudden you begin to notice both of you are not starting to call one another. There's being time periods where you're not really talking. It's kind of like a touch and go, and it turns into like a roommate situation. That's when it began. Like, that's when the conversation sparked of like, hey, this isn't really working between us. We're not in a good space. So what ended up happening was I was in Korea at the time. And I remember it was 4:00 in the afternoon, Korea time. And I can't remember, it was like nighttime in the States, I think. And I called him and I said, listen, at that point, we hadn't talked for like 2 weeks. Okay. I was really busy with work. I was really avoiding it because I didn't know how I was going to say it. And I just said to him, I said, look, we haven't talked in 2 weeks. Things have been really rocky between us. I know that you know this. We can't pretend anymore. We've done marriage counseling. We've done retreats. We've even lived in separate homes to try and rekindle our marriage, moved back in together, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
I think we're at a point where we just have to be honest with ourselves and say, like, it's time to move on. And I don't want to say it, but I want to let you know that I think our best option is a divorce.
How long into the marriage were you?
It was 5.5 years.
Okay, got it.
It was 5.5 years. And he was really silent when I said it. You know, he was kind of, it's almost like he couldn't believe that I had said that, but he agreed. Oh. And I said, okay, well, you know, I'm not going to be home for another couple of weeks. So I'll stay in touch and we can begin to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to say that. Whoever the person is that is about to end that relationship, first off, both of you get hurt. Both of us are hurt. The person who doesn't want to hurt the other person, and then the person who's receiving this news that says, crap, my relationship's over.
Yeah. That's wild.
So it was a wild ride. So now here I am, find myself like, I can't believe I just said that. I start to cry. You know, I call my mom, I call my best friend, I call, I think I called not my sister. I think I called another girlfriend of mine, and I'm just bawling. And they're just like, Michelle, you know, if this is what's right for you, that's what's right for you. You have to do what's right for you. And so I kind of just, you know, I literally threw myself at work. Those 2 weeks, I think I had like 3 periods where I just worked for like 2 days in a row straight. Like that's how I just threw myself into work.
You're trying to escape the reality of your life.
Well, you know, I'm about to get on a plane in 2 weeks to be able to face this man. And before I saw him, you know, just a couple months ago, like we were together, we had kissed each other, we had, you know what I mean? Like we were in a relationship.
Wow.
So it was hard. It was really hard. I'll tell you what, though, he didn't waste any time. I literally landed 2 weeks later. I got off the tarmac. He shows up. It's so awkward. My stomach's in a knot. And I'm like feeling like I'm going to throw up because I don't know whether should I hug him? Do I shake his hand? Like, what is the protocol here?
Yeah.
Right? We still live in the same house together, right? My stuff is still there.
Yeah.
He's picking me up. So I see him and I'm like, hey. And he's like, hi. And he's also trying to figure this out. So I was just like, I gave him a hug. And I was like, hi, thanks for coming and get me.
Hi.
Exactly. It was hard. It's like, okay, you know, and I was like, just taking a deep breath in. He grabbed my stuff. Oh no, he didn't even grab my stuff. Honestly, I had my Marines who were with me and they were helping me transport gear, move things around. And I didn't even get in the car, Jeff. And he's like, here are the divorce papers.
Well, there it is. Okay.
And I was like, so literally it was a hug, awkward moment, divorce papers. I didn't even grab my bags yet. And it was hard because I'm like, I know that he was only doing that to hurt me because he was hurt.
Oh, damn.
I know that, you know, I know that now. In that moment, Michelle didn't realize that. And Michelle just wanted to scream and just I literally just wanted to scream. I literally just got off a plane coming from Southeast Asia. long flight. I'm in uniform. Like I'm exhausted. And like you choose that moment to serve me divorce papers. And then on top of that, my crew was there. Like,
oh no.
You know what I mean? It was really embarrassing. And I felt powerless. It was one of the moments. And naturally, when a person feels powerless, what we tend to do is either we shut down, which is one of the things that happened in our relationship. Like I began shutting down or stonewalling, as they say.
Okay.
Instead of actually like expressing what I'm feeling, I would just shut down. And that's what I did in that moment because I was embarrassed. Long story short, we get to the house. I'm there. I take a shower. I'm crying. He's downstairs. He's on the couch. The dog is like coming up and down because it's excited to see me.
Yeah. I
turn on the shower faucet. I grab my phone. I call my best friend and I'm like, I can't stay here.
Yeah.
I need you. I need a place. And she's like, I'm coming to get you.
Yeah. Damn, that's tough. That's tough. So
that was it.
Ultimately, you guys got divorced, and I'm hoping it was amicable in the whole process.
At first, it wasn't. It never is. At first,
okay.
It's very few instances where two people are able to just literally sit down. And I think maturity, age, as well as how the relationship was, right? How did you guys fight in the relationship, or when you had arguments, comes into play. At first it wasn't, at first we were both upset. He was being unreasonable about some things. And I was just like, okay, forget it. Like, I can't. I'm, I did what I do best. I'm like, I'm going to retreat because I don't want to say something that's just going to cause more problems.
Okay.
And then finally we were able to come together, have a conversation about our assets, our goods. And we both said, look, I don't want to involve a lawyer. We don't need to involve a lawyer. It's not like we have a house. Like that's the biggest asset we have and our investments. We can figure this out. And he was reasonable. At that point, he was reasonable. He became more friendly. I think part of it was because I think he wanted for us to try again. And I wanted to keep the peace. And I said to him on many occasions, I don't want to try again, but I don't want to be mean. Like there's no reason for us to be mean to one another.
Okay.
Finally, we go through a mediation process.
Okay.
And I got divorced in California. So California is a 50-50 state. Everything typically gets split down the middle.
Okay.
Did not know that. Had to know that.
Wait,
what is the divorce there?
Wait, why was that a problem for you?
Well, 50-50 because if there were some investments where if it was investments that I put in majority of the money, I would still have to split it with him. Or if it was my personal investment, assets are just equal across the board. So do you
feel as though you gave up more in that divorce because of the 50?
I did.
Yo, you know what it is? It's like, I'm always fascinated by I don't know. I'm always fascinated by I've always said that marriage and divorce is not a sexist entity, right?
No.
It's the people that navigate within it that might be, right? But so if you're a high earning individual, whether you're a man or a woman, you are facing the same consequences, right? And a lot of people don't really know that, right? They don't. And given your experience, and I'm glad you shed light on it, and you being aware of that, I would imagine you, and we'll probably get into it, but you probably would have taken a different approach given what you learn about how marriage affects your finances if it doesn't work out, and how the legal system views your union as a whole, right? So,
and that's dependent on the state again, because some states it's like whatever you came in, then you walk away with.
Yeah. So everybody, Google your state before you sign that.
Before you say yes to the divorce, you say yes to the trust. Now think about where you say yes.
When you get proposed to, before you say yes, say what state. I mean, that's important to know. I got to get more information on that because, every state's got different things going on. Mm-hmm. All right, so